Hi everyone, this is James Cruz sharing poems of healing and hope with you. So today's poem is called Hiking the Loop, and it's by Phyllis Cole-Dai, a wonderful poet as well as an editor of Poetry of Presence, mindfulness poems, wonderful anthology. This poem I wanted to share because I think it offers us a lovely way of just approaching life slightly differently, especially during these times when we're so limited in what we can do, maybe the routes that we can take for a hike or a walk. And if you're anything like me, you can start telling yourself, like, this walk is getting really boring, or I'm getting bored with my house or my home, and you just start craving these different changes. But there are often these little alterations we can make to our routines to actually trick our mind into paying attention even more. And so this is one of those short life hacks, if you will, that Phyllis Cole-Dai recommends in her poem, Hiking the Loop. Head the other way for once. Backward to your usual forward, south instead of north. The trail won't mind if you do. Let the sun peer over your other shoulder. Let the mirror of the lake reflect your shadow side. The water will still hug the shore. Go around the burial ground only a half-mile in instead of hours later. The dead will still keep company with the sod. Enter the open stretch of prairie. From the west instead of the east, its tall grasses will still bow their heads, worshiping the breeze. Rise up into the woods instead of sloping down. The trees will still welcome you. The hawks will still watch. The blue jays still squawk. The squirrels still scatter. Somewhere out in the middle of the loop, you're apt to meet your old self, striding down the narrow path. Smile to greet her. Step aside to let her pass. So I think that's such a wonderful ending to the poem, too, this idea that when we try something new, even when we make one of those slight changes to our routines, we leave a part of ourselves behind. We notice the things that are still happening, but we're probably also apt to notice many new things along the way, or even just to see them differently. And somehow that can change the quality of our minds, our attention, and what we pay attention to throughout the rest of the day. Switching hands when you brush your teeth, making these simple changes, tea instead of coffee, I think are necessary nowadays when we have so little control over the larger situation and we have only our routines outside of work and that we can actually have any control over. So I think it's just a lovely way of framing that, and I love that the old self is still striding down the narrow path, that when we make some of these slight changes to see the world in a different way, our paths and our minds widen as well. So as an invitation, you might think about some of the little changes that you might make throughout the rest of this day or this next week to see just how these changes affect you. It might mean doing without social media for a day or taking a break from the news. Just see what happens when you make some of those changes and take a different path, as it were. So thank you all so much for listening. I hope you stay safe and well.